You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live. Athletes. Featuring in-depth interviews with athletes and members of the sports industry. Black Hollywood Live. Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Athletes.
Yo, hey guys, welcome to another week of BHL's Athletes. I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey, and joining me today is...
I'm Charlotte Broadbent. What's up, everyone?
Yes, so today we'll be discussing the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics, LeBron James face mask, Tiger Woods and his unfortunate or supposed back injury. Not sure we'll discuss that. The 2014 NFL Draft, the 2014 March Madness Series, and a couple other things that are semi-hot topics in news. So, Charlotte, let's start off with the Sochi Olympics. What happened with that? I mean, let's first start off with discussing how we fell short. The U.S. by a few medals. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, we were second, and I saw a study that was done that people that get second are never happy. People that get gold obviously are happy. People that get bronze are happy, but people that get silver, and America, I'm talking, came second in the Olympics. So it's always kind of we came second. Like third, you're just kind of happy you came, like you got in the top three.
Right.
Obviously, you're happy you won. Silver's like, so America
like
came second.
So
yeah.
Whoa.
And I mean, 9 gold medals, that's pretty good. But there was a lot of disappointment. And I think most of the news surrounded the disappointment for America.
Well, we had 28 golds. Russia ended up with 33 golds. Not 33, 28 golds, 28 medals total. And
I was about to say, my stats are way wrong. I got 9 golds.
Right, 9 golds, but 28 total medals.
Yeah.
Russia ended up with 33 medals total, beat us out by 5. And when you're that close and you're the U.S., you expect to win. I don't care if it's by 1 medal or half a point, you expect to win. So
definitely,
it's kind of bittersweet to be the first loser.
Well, yeah, and
the second place always is, which supports that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, in speed skating, the bad suits, that was all in the news. Whether it was the suits or not, I think just the negative connotation that was in the athletes' minds when they were doing the speed skating, there was already negativity there. Once you have doubt that the suits aren't right, I think you're kind of lost from the start.
You know what's funny about being an athlete is that sometimes for different athletes psychologically, that's why there's a new field actually called sports psychology that's actually been forged like the last 20 or some odd years to actually find out what actually motivates a particular athlete psychologically, because everything affects every athlete in a different way to motivate them to perform. So those are the kinds of things that either can motivate an athlete, like another little obstacle that's gonna help me overcome to even compete harder, or be the other athlete on the other hand that's like, everything's not perfect like it's supposed to be, it's breaking my superstition, and the uniform isn't perfect, it's gonna affect my performance, blah blah blah. You get one or the other.
Definitely. I think sports psychology, I mean, it's huge right now because it comes down to the little things.
Right.
It's not all about it is about how hard you train, but it's about how you prepare, what you eat, what you're doing in the gym, how many weights you're lifting, how you're feeling mentally. I mean, if you're checked out, you're not going to win. It's about the little things.
Yeah.
And just the fact of saying something's wrong with your suits, it's kind of a big deal. And
yeah, it is.
for most of them, it's not gonna work as an advantage, and that sucked for them. But it also sucked. This is where the news doesn't play a good part, because there was so much news about that, and all the questions in the interviews after were about the suits, and it's like, all right, if there's not as much attention on that, then maybe they could have kind of got over it. But all the attention was on the suits and their bad performances. Was it because of the suits?
Right.
So it's like, come on.
It's like,
Yeah.
So, you just kind of think, is it one of those things that really affected them, or mentally? psychologically,
Yeah.
emotionally. It's getting deep. For the Winter
The unfortunate
Olympians.
thing about the Olympics was all the people that were supposed to do really well and perform really well didn't. And I mean, there was John Daly. I mean, he said after the skeleton, just give me one more chance. And it's like, I'm sorry, you only get, like, this is, you only
get so
have
many
one
chances,
chance.
or you only get so many chances to do your runs, or have a, compete in the heat time and perform the best you can at each one. And for, what's crazy is it's like a mile long run, right, for the skeleton. And he said he knew within the first, like, couple of hundred yards.
Well, he did because he fell off, or whatever happened at the start, and it's like that's the whole race gone. Like, and that must suck to then have to do the rest of the race knowing I blew it.
Right. Well, he said, and this is not a quote, but he said in so many words, basically, he knew, in those first few hundred yards that he was basically not going to win, and then to have to stay on the course for another, for the whole mile, it kind of sucks.
One thing with the skeleton, I mean, there's nowhere else to go, is there? Like, no. Running, like, I mean...
You can't just get up and walk off either. It's like...
True, but there's literally nowhere else you can go.
Right.
With a skeleton, so... Yeah. But I felt for him. Well, he was broken.
He had a very heartfelt speech about it. I think a lot of people felt his pain and his anguish. You train for so long, and to get to that point, and to have that happen... it kind of sucks, but he had the wherewithal to not be totally not to be so self-absorbed in his grief and still be happy for his teammate and congratulate his teammate and say, at least one of us got it.
Yeah, for sure. So, he was respectable. Like, he did it in a good way.
Yeah.
It wasn't completely just drowning his sorrows. And obviously he was hurt, but...
And he was holding in the pain a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Daly should probably run for office. Serious. Those politicians are good at that. They're good at making those speeches in crunch times. The good politicians are. You might want to think about running for office, John. What's funny about talking about bittersweet, Bodie Miller and his performance and winning and just really reflecting on his brother that passed away was a really bittersweet victory for him.
Yeah, that was... that's a really sad story. I mean, his brother was living in a van, was found dead from a seizure. That was 2013. So it's still super new, super fresh in his mind. This was something that him and his brothers had grown up doing.
Right.
And then it is bittersweet. It really is.
So apparently that's really all he really could reflect on. I think his brother was a snowboarder.
Mm-hmm.
So he performed in somewhat similar field of athletics, and he was not there to
to share the success with him, and it is sad, but he did great.
Yeah, Bodie did his thing. I mean, this is Bodie's 5th Olympics, I think. I mean, he's a household name in winter sports.
He is.
So I wasn't shocked that he performed.
I agree.
And he came out victorious, but I do feel for him and the loss of his brother. But at the same time, congratulations, Bodie, on your win and bringing home that medal to the U.S. and making a contribution to the 28 medals of the U.S.
Yeah. I like the Winter Olympics. I think everyone loves the Summer Olympics. It seems like a bigger deal, but the Winter Olympics, it's just fun to watch.
Right.
It's a lot of fun sports. I love snowboarding. I love the half pipe.
Right.
I liked the new events that they put in, the the ski jump.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly what it's called. I know, right? But
But it's become way cooler. It's become way cooler.
Exactly.
Like in the last, at least the last 10, 20 years, they've added these events and made things a lot hipper and more cool. You got guys competing like Shaun White who are had totally added this element of swagger.
Right.
I hate using that word, but it's you can I'm a Winter Olympian. This, it's completely different than it used to be when it was just downhill skiing and ice skating.
Right.
You have these other new age events.
Yeah, and it makes it enjoyable for people to watch. And
there
was a lot of just publicity around these Olympics, and I loved that.
And just speaking about the Olympics, the publicity. It's talking about the publicity, all based on Russia's stance on and their laws, anti-gay laws. It started off, like really, really heavy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were protesting or whatever. And to be honest with you, I was really surprised and impressed by how I think there were a couple of little things that happened during the Olympics, but nothing that overshined the spirit of the Olympics, and it allowed it to, keep going, and the events just happen as they should. For the spirit of the Olympics is actually supposed to unite everybody. Sports is the one thing that unites all races, cultures, creeds, religions, everything.
Totally.
Just the total sport of competition. So I believe that spirit actually
came through, and it didn't shadow it, which I'm glad about, because it was to start with.
Yes.
There was a lot of controversy, and it was sad because it's like these athletes have trained so long, and yes, this issue is a really big issue, but don't try and overshadow what's about to happen.
Right.
'Cause this is a huge event.
Yes. Those are political things that have to do with government, and that's something the Olympics is not supposed to have. It's supposed to be exempt and above all that.
Exactly.
Petty stuff.
Yeah.
That has to do with government or whatever. So that's somewhat of a wrap up on the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics. Moving forward, next on our list, we are going to discuss this guy. His name is LeBron James, and we know him also as King James, formerly of the Cleveland Cavaliers, now with the Miami Heat. He's been wearing this mask for a couple weeks now, I think. Something like that.
First,
he broke his nose
last Thursday.
Yeah, he broke
his first game with it on.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a black.
It was a black, yeah.
Well, it was the game before that he broke his nose.
It was the game before that, right? Versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, that he broke his nose, and he came back donning a black carbon fiber mask that, even had his teammates cracking jokes. Chris Bosh is in the locker room, like, wearing this thing with a towel around him like a superhero.
Right, and even Dwayne Wade said after the game, he's like, have fun, because that's not happening again. So enjoy wearing it, because you're not going to get away with this for long.
But didn't he wear it for like 2 games? I believe the second game is the game that the NBA chimed in.
Yeah.
And they were like, ixnay on the mask. I'm sorry. No, it's not going to be any more mask.
It's just intense. It's really intense. And obviously, when you break your nose, you can't afford to break it again.
Right.
So obviously, we know why the mask is being worn, but it was scary.
But he's not the first player to wear a black mask. There's been other players, I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but just in the history of watching the sport, I remember there have been athletes that have worn black masks. And they were just protective masks, just like the one he was wearing. I think it partially has to do with the fact that he's such a high profile player. Exactly.
When you're so good and you're so, I went to the Clippers Heat game when they were at the Staples Center, and just everyone was just talking about, he has such a stance. Everyone just loves watching him and respects him so much and looks up to him so much. And when you're such a big role model, you can't do everything that everyone else can, because you get so much more attention.
Right.
And there's, things. I get why he wore it, but they
want his face to be seen so they can sell more merchandise. What do you guys think? We're interested to know what you guys think. You guys can chime in when you view us here on AfterBuzzTV.com or on YouTube, and let us know what you guys think.
BlackHollywoodLive.com.
BlackHollywoodLive.com. Thank you, Charlotte Broadbent. Slap myself across the face. Let us know what you think here at BlackHollywoodLive.com or online, YouTube. So whether you think LeBron James should be allowed to wear this mask if he wants to wear it, or do you think it was okay, or do you think it was right for him to?
He was very respectful when the NBA said, look, you got to kind of trade it for a clear one. He wasn't trying to say, but he did it. And I've read interviews where he said, I'm not better than the NBA. Like, I'm going to do what they tell me. Like, they said that, so I'm just going to change it. But USA Today said it's terrifying, the black mask.
Well, I think LeBron James is terrifying to half of these teams already. And to have him don a black mask just probably just makes it really ominous because he is a very dominating individual on the court. And the way he dominates a game physically already, you know, it's almost like imagine Shaquille O'Neal wearing a black mask in his prime.
Seriously,
That's
I mean,
kind of scary.
He just became the 18th player in the last 51 years to record a 60-point game. I mean, that's crazy. His previous score was 56.
Wow.
That's insane. 60-point game. Like,
wow. That's a lot of points.
Yeah. And it was 8 out of 10 three-point throws that he got. So out of 10 tries, out of 10 tries, he got 8 of them.
80% is extremely well for 3-point percentage. And a lot of people are surprised at that, and a lot of people wouldn't be surprised at that because they're LeBron James fans.
Exactly. It's LeBron James. What do you expect from him?
It's LeBron James.
But a 60-point game?
A 60-point game is high for any player.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't matter if you're Jordan, Bryant, you know, any of the greats who've done it before. It's a lot of points.
Yeah, it's a big achievement.
Yeah, so shout out to LeBron for that and his clear mask. But actually the last game against who did they play where he took it to the Spurs, he actually took the mask off and he is supposed to actually wear it for another week.
Yeah.
Until he has to take it off. But I guess it was probably just maybe it was affecting his game that game. And it was like, you know, I gotta get this thing off of my face.
Well, it's intense. Like, I would feel, I think, claustrophobic having to play. I mean, you're sweating, you're exerting a lot of energy while having to. He wasn't
claustrophobic versus the Knicks.
Right.
He went for 30-something points against the Knicks wearing that thing and was.
Yeah.
He balled that game. I mean, the mask. But you know what? If it's, you know, it's something new, it might be like, oh, this is fun, new kind of thing.
Right.
But then, like, to be like, okay, I'm stuck in this thing. And know that you have to wear it is probably another thing. And maybe it didn't sink in yet. That
he was still kind of like, everyone's talking about it.
Right.
This is cool. It's new. Like, I've never worn it before. Yeah.
And he wore the black one that game, too.
Yeah. I think he liked that one better.
Yeah, I think he did, too. But I like what he said. I'm not bigger than the NBA. I'm going to do what they asked me to do.
Right.
It's all good.
Exactly.
Speaking of somebody doing what they're supposed to do, Tiger Woods is taking a break because of his back. He's had a back injury, and
but
a lot of people go ahead.
It's the same back injury that he had at Barclays in 2013.
Yes, it is.
And he didn't give up there. Not saying that he's giving up.
Now this is the controversy is behind this ailing back that Tiger has had the last couple years. He's had this.
It's been on and off.
Yeah, it's been on and off for him. And the issue with that is some people feel like, well, when he hurt his back before, he didn't withdraw because he was in contention. So
exactly, he's not in contention right now.
He's not playing well. So is it like he's not playing well? Oh, I'm not playing well, so I'm gonna withdraw, and then use the back as like the fail-safe excuse of why I'm not performing. But if I'm in contention, then push forward. Which, as an athlete to be accused of that or suspected of that is very insulting to athletic integrity.
It is insulting, but also there's been so much controversy behind him and since 2009, since everything happened in his personal life, that he's attracted a lot of negative attention.
Right.
And since then, his game hasn't been as good on average.
Right.
And he is just, that's what you got to deal with. When you've done something when you're such a public figure and people look up to you in the athletic world, you have to take the rough with the smooth. When you do something like that, when you have an affair that goes so public, you're gonna attract negative attention, whether you like it or not.
And affairs with the S.
Yeah, affairs. True.
That's me being the silly me, but yeah, he had affairs. It was a plethora of women.
Seriously.
That most of us guys would envy to have. Tiger was doing his thing, but it turned out to be a you-know-what storm for him and his wife and his children. It sucks because he has a family and he has kids to think about and all this stuff, and the crap hit the fan for him with that situation. That was very, very, very demanding on him, like emotionally and psychologically, that situation. And I think it would affect anyone. The world that he is used to and the world that he lived in or lives in has been greatly affected. I'm sure people that he's dealt with before and that is used to being around relate to him differently, talk to him differently. So his world is different. His world has changed. People see Tiger Woods still, even fans look at him differently.
Completely. And being a female, I know, and having a lot of my friends and their families into golf, the females in the family hate him. The males still love him, still think he's great. But
they
the
probably
females,
think he's more great, huh? Because he had the women and he was playing golf.
But the females don't like him anymore. And I don't dislike him. I think he's a really good athlete. But what he did, not okay. But that's nothing to do with his golf game.
Right.
Do I think he's a quitter? I don't know. When you have an injury, you have to look after it. And if it's been going on for so long, then he has to treat it if it is getting worse. But he's not in contention and suddenly he's not going to push through it. I don't think it's a coincidence. But I don't know if that's wrong.
Right.
I don't know
if that's wrong either.
Exactly. If you're in contention, if you're going to do whatever in this tournament, then you're going to keep wanting to play.
Of course.
But if you're not playing as well and you have an injury, it's
you risk getting hurt
exactly
worse?
Why are you going to put yourself in that situation?
Exactly. It's like when a team is blowing out another team and they're winning a game and they're obviously winning it, they're going to take out their star players.
Exactly.
And put in the backup guys.
Exactly.
If they're not winning at all, they're going to have to fight through it. You're going to have to. It's just the same. It's the same kind of logic.
No, completely.
So I'm not really upset with him for
and I think
the
people
decisions he's made.
Yeah, people just need to get off his back. I mean, he said his
No
will
pun
to
intended.
win. No pun intended. And he said his will to win hasn't changed, but physically, can he do it?
Right.
He's questioning himself now too. Mm-hmm. People don't need to. Is Tiger Woods a quitter? No, he's really not. He's proved himself so much that. So, he's got an injury.
Yeah.
He's not playing that well. So what's the point in keeping going?
I mean, he said it best himself. He mentioned his age.
He's 38.
He's 38 years old. He said he doesn't heal as fast. And again, this is not verbatim quote, but he, in a nutshell, said, I don't heal like I used to. I don't heal as fast as I used to. And that's true. When you get older, you don't heal as fast as you used to. That's why people age.
And you have to take care of your body better.
And that's not why people age, but that's a result of aging. You have to take better care of yourself. You have to be, more precautious and take more precaution towards potential injuries because that could put you out for the rest of your career if you don't take care of it properly, as opposed to when your career first begins. Another thing he mentioned was he has 10 majors under his belt. Most guys sit, back and rest on their laurels after they win one. The fact that he's accomplished so much has been overshadowed by this controversy that happened a few years ago. And then, I think people just want to see him perform for entertainment purposes because they're so used to what he brought to the game and how he changed the game. Tiger Woods has revolutionized how people look at golf and the marketability of golf in general. So he actually made it cool. Tiger Woods actually made golf cool. He didn't, he took the game and it used to be considered for only old, stuffy, non-brown people. And he has made it cool and hip on the street to be a golf player. And you've seen an influx of more cross-cultural players since Tiger Woods actually came into the forefront.
I also think, though, that that's why a lot of fans are so upset with him, because he was the one that brought golf into the limelight, revolutionized it, and then he went and did that and kind of took away all his credibility in 2009.
Here's the thing.
You know?
Yeah, I get that. But here's the thing that, I just want to say to the fans of athletics, these guys are just regular guys like anybody else, and athletes are athletes. You may say they're not like anybody else, but that's part of that is true. They're in the limelight. They have a special skill, but they're not perfect. They're human. They make mistakes. Just like somebody who's not famous, who doesn't have a job that's in the limelight, is not perfect and they make mistakes. Somebody who is not a famous golfer, who might sell insurance or be a school teacher, can make the same mistake that he made. It's not something that is like, oh my gosh, I can understand if he was, a religious figure or something of that nature. At the same time, even if he was a religious figure, he's still just a guy. He's a man. And you can't expect somebody who doesn't have any more capabilities than you or I as a person, as an individual, to handle life beyond athletics, to take it to the next level in their personal life. That's expecting a lot of any individual, and it's unbalanced and unfair.
I agree with you, but when you're in the limelight, when you're such a successful athlete, when you have a big fan base, you're held to a high standard. True. And people expect things from you. People have an idea of how you are in their heads. Like if he was right here, right now, people think that he's this amazing player, like an amazing person that wouldn't do something that isn't right. Right. What is right? I don't know. But so when you do that, there are repercussions because people don't think that's right. You know what I mean? Right. So you are held to a higher standard, and you need to recognize that when you go into the limelight.
I agree. I think it falls on both the fan base and the star in question, whether it's an actor or actress or an athlete. I think it falls on both sides. I think that the celebs or the athletes do need to hold themselves to a higher standard, no matter what their background is or where they come from. They do need to hold themselves to a higher standard, and the fan base needs to not hold them to such a high, not deify them, because remember, they are human beings, and when they're not doing whatever that you like to see them doing, they go home and then they're regular people with whoever their family and friends are.
I agree, and athletes
there has
are different.
To be a meeting in the middle.
Yeah,
somewhere.
And athletes are different to celebrities. Celebrities, when you want to be an actor, you're going to be in the limelight. Like if you get to the highest level. An athlete, it's the same, but you're good. You're seen on the court. You don't do as many interviews, like personal interviews. It's more about the sport. So I think it is a bit different, but you are held to a higher standard.
Well, I was reading something where they said Kobe Bryant is actually the biggest celebrity in the world, most above.
That's surprising.
I was shocked as well. I don't know how true that is. I can't remember the source I read this from online. It was an article online, but they said that Kobe Bryant is the most famous person in the world in this generation right now. And I was like, wow, really?
He wouldn't have been in my top 5.
But what was really funny about that, if you think about it, for example, everyone goes to the Laker games. Everyone in Hollywood, you see Jack Nicholson sitting courtside. You see everybody at these games, right? Half of those actors, I bet Kobe Bryant doesn't know who they are because they're on some TV show or whatever. And we might know, there's like, oh, that's the guy from that show that Kobe Bryant doesn't even have the time to watch because he's practicing, going, speaking engagements. He doesn't know who these people are, but all those stars know who Kobe Bryant is.
So true.
So if you think about it from that standpoint, it might have some legitimacy as him being the most famous guy in the world, which is really kind of strange when you really think about it.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, but you're so right.
I don't know. I might do a little more research on that. But that was just that was random, guys. That wasn't something else. That was just random. Anyway, so I hope Tiger gets better. Back to Tiger. I hope he gets better. Yeah. And I look forward to seeing many more years of golf from him.
For sure.
I'm sure he's going to recover. He's very, very, very tough, strong mentally. And his dad taught him a lot as far as adversity.
Yeah, for sure.
So we shall see what happens with Mr. Woods.
We will.
Yes. Okay, so headed into the 2014 NFL Draft this year. The 2014 NFL Draft. There's a lot going on. We've got a lot of guys that are going to the league again this year. But the elephant in the room this year seems to be Johnny Football from Texas A&M, who won the Heisman as a sophomore, I believe, which is a huge accomplishment. Johnny Manziel. And he's being projected to be taken by the Cleveland Browns, who need more than just a quarterback. But you're going to start with a quarterback, which...
But that's a good place to start.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. You have to rebuild your team.
Yeah.
And this guy has shown that he has intangible skills and intangible ability to winning, which is something that I actually thought, and don't be mad, guys, the people who love this guy and the people who hate this guy, Tim Tebow. Now, Tim Tebow was a polarizing player based on what he brought to the field with the kneel praying at the whatever, which had nothing to do with his performance as a football player. That's just who he is as a person. He was going to perform the same way whether he was doing that or not. But he was marked as one of those guys who's not a typical quarterback. He is a football player who knows how to win. And although Manziel might have a little more skill than Tebow as he knows how to scramble. He knows how to make plays. Football is all about making plays and making things happen.
Definitely.
And he's been, he's shown and proven that he can do that, which is why he won the Heisman Award.
Yeah.
So I don't know how well his game is going to transfer or transition over into the NFL because the guys are so much bigger, smarter, and faster and stronger that, just like you saw Robert Griffin. Robert Griffin, RG3, performed on a whole nother level in college. He was a man amongst boys. But then, he even though he's performed in the NFL, he's he injured his knee.
Yeah.
Like he's
been
got
swallowed up.
Yeah, he's got smacked around a little bit. Those big boys up there. You got guys that are twice his size running 4.5s. They're running 4.5 40s. These guys are fast and strong. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens with Manziel, and if they don't have a strong line to help his style of play, then I'm afraid for him.
No, I am too. I think it's a big transition going from college football to NFL.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as easy, I think, as people see. And when you go, and you are the Heisman winner in sophomore year, but then junior, senior year, you haven't won the Heisman, but you could.
Right.
Something's, he's already... I get afraid when people win the Heisman so young, and even a freshman won it this year. I went to Florida State, so I'm a little biased. I love the fact that Jameis won, but
is he coming back?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he better.
Yes, he is. But when you win a Heisman so young, you have to stay kind of into the game, into what you do, love what you do, to not get swallowed up with everything that's going on around you.
Because that's the pinnacle. He won the national championship, right?
Yeah.
Won the national championship. Won the Heisman.
Only 1 year, and now he's in baseball season for Florida State.
And you're like, what? Okay, should I stay here? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of like the Carmelo Anthony thing. Carmelo Anthony, he went to college 1 year, won the national championship, and left and went to the NBA. It was like, and I think he said that before he left for high school, because he actually could have gone straight to the NBA, but he wanted to win a national championship, and he said, I want to try to win a national championship, or I'm going to win a national championship. And he went to college, won a national championship. I think he played for Syracuse, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, then somebody correct me online. And then he went on to the NBA.
I don't think it's just a...
Football's a lot harder, though.
It is a lot harder.
It's way more physically demanding and strategically demanding.
And I think you need the skills that college football gives you to be able to really succeed in the NFL. And I mean, it's taken, especially in the past couple of years, the people that were drafted in the first round haven't really shone this year.
Right.
Really.
Right.
And I think it takes you a little while to adapt. But but I do definitely think that you need the skills that college football, like the mental aspect, the physical aspect, the aspect of working in a, not that high school football isn't a big team, but like a team where you're really doing everything together. You do that in high school, but college is like the next level up, and you need the experience of that.
You definitely need the experience. I mean, him being in college right now and taking advantage of that, the difference between high school and college is a bigger gap. You know, the average guy plays high school football. It's like, yeah, I was on my high school football team. And there's a much bigger gap between high school and college than there is between college and pro. The difference between college and pro is like every week is playing a college all-star game.
Yeah.
In the pros, everybody was in a college all-star. So it's almost like playing an all-star game every week.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you got guys that are all veterans who have gotten good and used to the game of playing that every week. So it's important for Manziel to protect himself mentally and psychologically and emotionally. And I hope that he has good people around him and a good team around him. So all this fanfare and the cool factor of the guys he hangs out with in the hip hop community or whatever don't affect him to the point where once the draft comes around and then once he gets on that field, because once you get on that field, it's between those lines is between those lines.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with articles being written, has nothing to do with publicity being given. It has nothing to do with anything else but what happens between those lines. And it's a war zone on that field.
Definitely.
For how many minutes or whatever it is, however long he's out there. So the best to you, Manziel, and Mr. Johnny Football, do well in this draft coming up. Speaking
I think
of
it's going to be an interesting one. Sorry,
yeah,
were you going to say...
It is going to be an interesting one.
Were you going to talk about the Alabama quarterback?
No, but you can.
I didn't write his name down, but I think he was up for Heisman. I think he's going to be a big person for the draft this year. I mean...
I did read about him, but I can't remember his name right now.
I know, that's so bad. Neither of us know. He has great qualities.
Right.
And he's fat. Like, he's just got a lot going fast.
Oh, okay.
He's just got a lot going for him. And I think that he's going to be a big person this year for the draft.
Well, we'll see. Speaking of quarterbacks, Adrian Peterson is hopefully, or it's rumored that he's hoping to get Michael Vick over to the Vikings. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if Michael Vick playing with Adrian Peterson is going to take away from his game or going to help his game and take some weight off of him and give him some support with the passing game over there, simply because they're both two really dynamic players. And to have too many dynamic players, somebody's gonna suffer on the court. You know, I'm not so sure. It's like saying, oh my gosh, what if LeBron and Kobe were on the same team?
Right, exactly.
That's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah.
Just because they're two great players, somebody's game is gonna suffer. The chemistry may not be there
completely,
especially for the Vikings offensive strategy. If they go over there, if Michael Vick goes to the Vikings, it'll be definitely interesting to see how that turns out. Simply because it'll be exciting. You had Adrian Peterson, who's actually one of the most dynamic, if not the most dynamic running back of our time, who came 9 yards shy of breaking Eric Dickerson's record of single season rushing yards last season. And what's really funny, he did that after his knee injury. Kudos, buddy.
Props.
AP is the man. So we'll see on that one. I'm not so sure if that's a good thing or not.
I don't think it'll happen.
Well, you guys let us know what you guys think. Would you like to see Michael Vick play with Adrian Peterson at the Vikings, or do you think you don't want to see him there, or if you think it'd be a good thing, think it'd be a bad thing? Just give us your thoughts and let us know on Black Hollywood Live or on YouTube.com. In further news, NBA, back to NBA. Jason,
March Madness. Or were you not going to go to that?
NBA's that's college. NBA, Jason Collins. Jason Collins signed with the Nets after I think everybody believed that he was retired, right?
Yeah.
And he came out and announced that he was gay, and it was like a coming out party. That pun intended, coming out of the NBA. But he's back in the NBA. So I'm really interested, like, what's the dynamic behind him signing with the Brooklyn Nets? Why did they sign him? Or was it a definite need? Was it to sell tickets? Was it to I mean, I think they could, of course, they can argue and say there's a need there for in his position, because Jason is a good player. He's a dynamic player. That's why he's been in the NBA. He's been in the NBA for
long time,
a really, really long time. And what was his inspiration for going back?
I think he got a lot of support.
Right.
And I think that was probably overwhelming for him.
Maybe it's the kid from Missouri who's going into the NFL draft, Sam.
Right.
That came out as gay in college, and he's going to the NFL draft like, yeah, I'm gay. I'm about to get drafted. I'm a baller. Like, what?
Exactly.
You know, so maybe that has something to do with it. It would be really interesting to me to know what prompted him and what pushed him to come back.
I think it's awesome. I mean, he probably in his head, maybe this isn't over. Maybe I have more to prove. And now that he's comfortable in himself, because it must be hard holding that in for all that time.
Right.
And knowing, and now everyone knows.
Right.
He's comfortable. He can be himself. And it's like, no, I have something left to do.
Right.
Like I haven't finished yet.
Right.
So props to him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm curious to see. I can't wait to see how he does, how he performs.
Yeah.
The fact that Brooklyn, I think that's still a smaller deal than Brooklyn's. I mean, the Nets still being in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Because that's still something. It's like, you know, watching them be called the New Jersey Nets for all of our lives, pretty much. And now they're the Brooklyn Nets. It's like, still, there's some getting used to being called the Brooklyn Nets. It's almost like a cool thing that really doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like that was made up like in a hip hop song or something.
I agree.
Really,
I feel like you can't change
exist.
the name. Like,
right.
This is what we've always known you as, and now this is unfamiliar.
Well, it's like the Brooklyn Dodgers, and then they moved to LA, and the LA Dodgers. And actually, I still like the sound of Brooklyn Dodgers. Even though I'm from Los Angeles, and I love the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I love the fact that they're called the Los Angeles Dodgers, but I think that if they moved back to Brooklyn and were the Brooklyn Dodgers, I would still be a fan of the LA Dodgers. Because that's where they originally came from.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for Brooklyn, then we wouldn't have an LA Dodgers. So I can't be mad at Brooklyn. Kudos to the BK. Big shout outs to everybody in the BK. You know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? Jay-Z and everybody. What's up? Big sports fans over there. So I think we pretty much covered everything. Did you have anything else you wanted to go over today?
No March Madness?
You want to talk about March Madness?
Just a little.
Just a little bit? Go right ahead.
Just a little.
You got to talk about March Madness, of course.
I love this time of the year. I love it.
That everybody wins money or loses money, and most people are losing money because they do these office pools, these office brackets, and they lose money. Anyway, go ahead.
So many brackets. I love it. I'm rooting for Arizona this year. And I went to Florida State. I feel like I'm really betraying them. But Arizona all the way.
Florida State even in the brackets?
Don't have a chance.
Exactly.
Don't have a chance. So go Arizona.
AZ. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're rooting for them. Wow.
Yeah. Bring on March 16th. Selection Sunday.
Well, we will be waiting till March 16th. And next time we visit you guys, we shall be discussing more details of March Madness and what's going on and what the developments are with that and whatever news is going on for this week on BHL Athletes. I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey. Joining me today is...
I'm Charlotte Broadbent. You can find me
you, Charlotte?
Shaw Broadbent on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find me at Club Thaddeus on Twitter and Instagram and GQJedi.com. Till next time, BHLers.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.